you know, we would call you exceptional. I know you would just say you're a decent person who does what's right. And what's led you to do this, Chris? And have you had any threats? Because I know you've talked to police officers and others that have been threatened.
Go ahead, Uppy.
Well, I just don't understand. I guess I'm just built different, but I don't understand people just looking the other way when something bad happens. I just don't understand that. I mean, I wouldn't allow a child to be killed. If I was in the area and I saw a guy attacking a woman or a child, I wouldn't have to know who they were to try to defend them. I mean, that's just something men do. I don't understand. All of my fellow members of the grand jury, most of them did not have sufficient background information or intelligence to be on that jury. And that's a different story. But even the ones that did, and there had to be somebody else on there smart enough to know what's going on, but they didn't dare stick their head up from behind the log. And I just don't understand that because, you know, there's a little saying that's just simple as it can be, you know, that I've heard all my life. All it takes for evil to triumph is for the good people to do nothing. I mean, that's a simple little saying, but it's just as true as it can be. And if people will stand up and say, hey, I'm not going to put up with that, then maybe somebody else will stand up. And pretty soon, if you could get everybody to stand up, you could make it work. But there are just too many people out there that I don't know whether it's a lack of education, a lack of genes, genetic structure, a lack of intelligence, or what. But I don't understand people that won't stand up for what's not right.
Well, it's mind control. It's the television. I've told the story. You see it all the time where a man dies of a heart attack or is dying in a Walmart and people walk by him for an hour. An Austin cop got run over a few years ago and bled to death for over an hour and no one helped him. I saw a woman choking once in a restaurant. No one would help her, and I had to push him out of the way to do the Heimlich, and they were angry, saying, no, wait for police. And I'm like, I didn't say, hey, idiot, she's going to die before the police get here. And I'm not exceptional. I mean, I took swim team for 4 or 5 years, and they had the fire department come by and, you know, for those that wanted to take it and took a basic life-saving thing. I mean, if I'm choking, I want somebody to help me. I mean, Americans didn't used to be like this. They're in a trance, Hoppy. Comment on that, or we'll get a comment from Chris Emery.
Cognitive dissonance is what I call it. People are trained by the public school system and other forces to accept certain things as absolute truths. And anytime something doesn't fit inside that box, their own personal box of absolute truths, if it doesn't fit inside that, they simply can't accept it. Now, anybody that's gone to a concert and heard those instruments tuning up, getting ready for the concert, understands what dissonance is. I mean, it's the most terrible sound you've ever heard. Well, actually, each one of those instruments is playing what it's supposed to play. They're just not playing in the same order. So it's not till a concert starts and they all play in the same order that a understandable tune comes out of all those instruments. And the same thing with information. If you're not able to put together information, then you'll never be able to hear the concert. All you're able to hear is the tuning up, the dissonance. And people that can't think outside the box, as they say, people that don't have the independent thought or the capacity to understand or the willingness to accept the truth, and the Bible says that nobody will believe the truth in the end, and I see that everywhere. People that they just can't do that, and it's sad.
Well, I was about to add, it's worse than that in many cases. They know the information. They think if they choose to say the government didn't carry out 9/11 or Oklahoma City or Gulf of Tonkin, even though it's admitted to be staged, that somehow that makes it true. I've had engineers, smart people, sit there and look me right in the eye. You know, they'll confront me first and say, you know, I like what you do in some areas, but but, you know, it's impossible that the government could do 9/11. I said, well, what about Tuskegee experiment, all this? What about this evidence of 9/11? He said, oh, I hear what you're saying, but I choose not to believe it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I said, yeah, I understand. You think you just make a decision and that makes it so. I mean, that is willful mind control, and that is cowards that are so cowardly. At least a run-of-the-mill coward says, I'm a coward. I'm going to run from this evil and, you know, go hide in your shame. I get that. I mean, I'm not even mad at those people. Okay, you're scared. You're scared of the scary men coming and getting you. Hey, you're going to die anyways, buddy. Nobody's going to live forever. I'm not going to live on my knees. But I'm not mad at a straight-up coward. But these men and women that are so cowardly, they do a mind flip and say, I just choose not to believe it. That is a coward's coward. Chris Emery, your comments on why you've done what you've done.
Right after I'd met with Craig Roberts, he gave me a set of blueprints that Southwestern Bell had supplied to a lot of the litigants, the people that were suing for insurance claims and so forth. And on the second floor, what convinced me to really push ahead on this was there was a layout of the deceased, and it listed 4 babies in cribs against the front window. They were less than 4 months old. And as the saying goes here in Oklahoma City, oh, hell no. We're not going to give up until we find out what happened, who butchered these kids, who killed these people when they were going about their business on a normal workday, and yanked them out of this life into the life hereafter. And they dare to lie about this? We're better than that. And it's people like Hoppy and yourself, the guys in my film crew. I'm really proud to be able to work with you. This is a true American here.
Absolutely. And if you look at it, what we do now is going to be a testament to future generations. And the fact that we've exposed Oklahoma City, Hoppy from day one, and General Parton and others, and Jane Graham and the victims, the fact that we've exposed other false flags, they're always trying to resuscitate it. But once the genie's out of the bottle, look at what happened with Kurt Haskell and his wife, both lawyers. They see a sharp-dressed guy getting the underwear bomber, Christmas Day guy on the plane, arguing, demanding, and so powerful, he was able to order security to let him on without a passport. Then they witness the whole thing happen. They tell the public. The media says they're full of it. And then later the State Department admits, yeah, the U.S. government ordered us to help get him on the plane. I mean, the fact is we are people who are awake and love the truth. We're everywhere now. And when you murderers try to nuke something or blow something up and dance around as our saviors, everybody knows where to look. We know about your lies about WMDs. We know about you now. Robin Cook in England went public with the lies saying 9/11 was staged. They killed him right after that. In England, I mean, the point is that we are exposing one of their favorite tricks, and they don't like it.
You got any other comments?
No, you're right on the money, Alex. There's only one other thing I would say, but I don't know how much time we have.
Yeah, plenty of time.
Okay. The second point that General Parton made that's easily understood and very important. When blast pressure pushes, against a steel reinforced column and it pushes that column over, it does break the concrete, but it only bends the steel bars inside the concrete. If the columns in Oklahoma City had been downed by blast pressure, the reinforcing steel rods inside those columns would still be there and just bent over. Parton said those steel rods had been cut.
You can see the blast points. Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise.
Yeah, so there's a big difference, and I do this in a demonstration sometimes. I'll take 2 pencils, I'll break one with my hands, I'll saw one in half with a little hacksaw blade, and I will ask anybody in the audience if they could not put those halves back together again correctly. And everybody, I mean, you can look and see which one that I broke with my hands because it's so irregular and so shattered looking, and then the one that I cut is so smooth. It's anybody can put that back together. And why anybody can't understand that when those columns, when that steel rebar inside the column was actually cut, those had to be cutting charges on the column itself. That was not blast pressure. Well,
you can see the video and the photos. There's even blast points right there. expanding on that, why do you think, from your deep research, Chris and Hoppy, why didn't they just go with the truck bomb? That probably would have killed some of the kids and been, you know, still good for them to be able to get our guns and demonize patriots and blame it on us and make people forget about Waco. But why have them go in and wire it all up and all that? I mean, I guess they just wanted to kill more federal employees.
Well, because of 93, see, they weren't careful enough. They weren't thorough enough in 93, and they didn't get the terrorist bill passed. So they planned, if every bomb that was inside the building would have gone off, it would probably have leveled the whole building, and that's what they were looking to do, because they were looking for maximum body count to get the legislation passed.
Any other little points? I mean, hopefully tonight we'll bring up with you guys some of the other people, Chris, you talked to, like police officers and others, who were also threatened and what's covered in the Film and Noble Live. But imagine the ATF and FBI telling, you know, the military bomb expert who's there, you forget you saw this, we know where your daughter goes to school. I mean, I would have real trouble just on the spot not going caveman.
That was absolutely incredible when I heard that. One other point I want to bring up, Hoppy and I were just discussing this during break. Howard Shapiro was the gentleman that was calling for another Oklahoma City bombing, I believe, recently, and in the last year or so. He actually served on the city council here in Oklahoma City for a while, was best friends with Hillary Clinton, and also worked with former director Larry Potts with IGI. Well, IGI is pretty much a hit squad. It's retired. We know this, and I have no problem saying this on the air. Retired FBI agents, folks that pretty much went off the script, and they had an office down here in Oklahoma City. Howard Shapiro worked for that firm, and so you see how these people just have they're circling back. They have it boils down to they have no regard for human life. That's who we're dealing with all the time here in Oklahoma City. Alex, trying to research this case. So I empathize with you when you get excited on your show. We get frustrated up here too, and it's plain as day. This is a poorly written script for the Twilight Zone movie, and they never say cut. The tape keeps rolling. That's the way it is here.
And only our denial empowers it. As Hoppy said, evil men and tyrants flourish when good men and women do nothing. That's all they need to flourish, and we empower them by our cowardice, by our weakness, by our laziness, and it's going to get. And you're right. People connected to it think we're so dumb, Hoppy, that they sit there and go, "Man, a new Oklahoma City would sure help us," in the biggest newspapers in the world. I mean, how dumb do they think we are?
What do you think? You want to give them a final comment?
I'm just going to put an aside in there. I'm a member of Mensa. And I got permission to address the local Mensa chapter with my experiences at Oklahoma Grand Jury. And these are people with 150, 160, 70, 180 IQ. These are very bright people. And it never occurred to me that they wouldn't be smart.